Hello, winners, and welcome to Two for the Win with your hosts, Nick and Will. So we had a great interview last week. Hope you listened to that. And thanks to Eric again for being on. But we're going to stay with this theme of entrepreneurship. We want to sprinkle a little motivational dust on some folks who maybe are just starting a business, but it's not getting off fast, to persevere and keep at it. Or if you haven't, to consider it. So again, not only for the income and the societal benefits, but the tax benefits as well, which we're not tax advisors, so I'm not going to give you tax advice. Sorry. But that being said, please be sure to subscribe, share, and follow Two for the Win on your favorite platform and spread the word. And want to thanks to Nick Menard, published author, best-selling Amazon author, and his book, Mindset is My Degree, which you can find on Amazon and Audible. Thank you, Nick.
No, you're welcome. Thank you. And hi, winners. Hopefully you had a great weekend.
Yes. So in talking about entrepreneurship, and again, if you haven't listened to the episode last week with Eric, please do so. Such an inspiring story. And we're going to kind of build upon the theme from the last couple Monday Mindsets about entrepreneurship. And I think today what we want to build upon is, more of our personal experiences, so people can know, like, there's certainly a lot of great things that came from it, but there was also some challenges that offered us opportunities to grow and be the people that we are today. So anything high level you want to share with our winners on this topic before we jump into one of our more fun segments?
What I can say is that I was inspired by your story. So I cannot wait for you to actually share more of your story of where you start after the first step. 2 weeks ago, you mentioned, like MLM was your first entry into the world, but then your first real one was extremely inspiring. So I cannot wait for the listener to actually hear about your own story. And then I will share some of mine, but definitely yours resonate very well.
Well, thank you, my friend. Yeah, appreciate it. So, and you, of course. And if you want to learn more about Nick's story, read Mindset is My Degree. Powerful stuff. But with that, it is now time for quotes and quips. Oh, we have some good ones. We have some good ones today. Some are good, and then some are like good. And these are good. At least I think they're good. So the first one is Helen Keller. Most may know Helen Keller, her story, very inspirational. Her quote is, "Security is mostly a superstition. Life is either a daring adventure or nothing." Thoughts on that?
Love it. That's the story of my life. Like you, if you are comfortable, I said that during one of my speech recently, and it's all about the fact to say, like, when is the last time that you did something remarkable by staying comfortable? And the answer is always never. Why? Because comfort and growth never go together. So in order to grow, you need to go outside your comfort zone. Everybody know that. Everybody roll their eyes about it, but it's the truth. So in order to do something, you need to do something that other people are not willing to do, or that you never did before. So it resonates to me very, very strongly.
Oh, yes. And that actually touches on one of the quotes we had 2 weeks ago too, with that as well. So really good. The next one is a quip. And again, quip has a little bit of levity. This one, maybe not all of our winners will recognize this name, but Lily Tomlin was a famous comedian, female comedian, a number of years ago. So this quip is from her. I'm laughing just reading it again. Even though I was reading it, laughing before. I always wanted to be somebody, but now I realize I should have been more specific. Just to somebody.
Yeah. No. So, I mean, it's the truth again. We talked about it a lot of time during our Mindset Monday about the fact that you need to visualize what you want to do. You need to put on paper what you want to do. You need to hold yourself accountable, or have someone, accountability partner. And yeah, so that's very, very important. So if you just want to build something, but you don't know what, well, you may build something that will not go anywhere, and you just build to build. So be more specific about what you want to achieve and by when, have timeline and dates linked to it. And you will probably get somewhere faster than that.
Oh yeah, for sure. 100%. And I think you can say that in a lot of things. So like if Some people may be doing their own affirmations each day and say, well, I want to be great. Well, what does that mean? You know what I mean? Great at what? Sewing? Great at playing baseball? Like anything in between? Like be specific. And you want to be great at sewing? Great. And be specific, like you said, time-bound deadlines, reverse engineer it. You want to be great at baseball? Great. Get out there. Get to the batting cages. Start doing some stuff. So got to be specific. It actually, just to digress for a second, but I remember this from like intro to business, like one of those 101 level business courses in school. And they were always talking about your marketing position. And they're like, you either want to be where you're not necessarily doing a lot of volume, but it's premium pricing, or you're doing a lot of volume at discount pricing where you either have high margins, but you're not selling a lot, but because of the margins are so good, you're making money. Or you have low margins where you're selling a lot of volume and you're just counting on that volume over the time. But they're like, if your market penetration strategy is being the one in the middle, you get squeezed and you really don't do anything. You're better off picking one of the extremes and maybe think of that anyway. But where do you want to go? You want to build upon a little bit more about our personal experiences with entrepreneurship, some of the other stories you've built upon from 2 weeks ago? So 2 weeks ago, Nick and I shared how our first venture foray into entrepreneurship came with multi-level marketing or direct selling. Again, for me, I think it's a low risk, high reward opportunity, and not necessarily high reward per se about making money, but the mindset, like they really help elevate it. But the business that I've had the most lasting success and candidly the most profits was real estate. So I was 21 years old. I read a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Exactly. And another book, I'm going to mess up the title, but it was something like No Money Down by Robert Allen. And the last one was a series I bought from Carlton Sheets. It was also about the No Money Down. And so Rich Dad Poor Dad is more about the mindset and starting a business, but he made his money originally investing in real estate in Hawaii. Carlton Sheets and not Paul Allen, Richard Allen. Allen was his last name. Might have been Paul Allen, but not the Microsoft Paul Allen. And they made the money in real estate using No Money Down. The thing I didn't realize at that time, but just to take a quick history lesson, before 1987, you used to be able to assume people's mortgages. They could sign it over. So say you owned a property and you had a 4% interest rate, and we worked out a deal and I said, okay, you own this $100,000 property, you owe $50,000 on it. I'm going to assume your mortgage, and then we will work out a deal where I could pay you $50,000 over installments. So basically you carry the note. So that was the whole premise between No Money Down. What they didn't sell, but they didn't tell you, but they continued to sold those series in the 90s, which is when I was looking at them, is that after 1987, you couldn't assume mortgages unless the lender approved it. So in the past, you could just sign it over and it was fine. Then they put in a clause where you couldn't assume it unless the lender took it over. And the only time you can do assumptions now are with VA loans, but you still have to go through an approval process. Anyway, so just with that context. But I was inspired by the thought of No Money Down. And so I was 21 and I bought my first property with money down a little bit, but it was a condo. And that got me onto the track of real estate ownership and gosh, over the years, I couldn't even tell you how many homes I've either flipped. I mostly did flips. There were some rentals for a while. At one point, I think the most properties I ever had at one time was when I lived in West Coast in Vegas. I had 10 properties between Nevada, Arizona, and New Mexico. And yeah, it was fun. And it learned a lot. And, for those of you who know me, I'm not the most handy of folks. So, I wasn't necessarily doing all the work, but I could look at the market, see the potential behind the ugly facade of some of these properties and their conditions, and work out a strategy and a design strategy for how to fix it and make money off the profit. But that was really the one. And I think, if you're somebody who's on the fence, you're like, oh, I don't know about a product, or oh, I don't know about a service. To start with entrepreneurship, if you own a home, consider getting a rental property. If you don't own a home, just start there and get a rental property. Because when you look at the history of humanity, there's been one foray in business that has been tried and true in terms of creating generational wealth, and that's real estate and stuff. So the real estate's been a lot of fun, and I'll pause for a bit to have you tell your story, but I'll talk about how I parlayed my experience in real estate that led me to my next entrepreneur and venture with financial services.
Awesome. So, winners, if you listened to the episode 2 weeks ago when Will said he was invited first time at 18 years old to MLM, in-home meeting.
Sell the dream.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Struggling to buy a pants and an ugly shirt to be moving to Las Vegas with his future wife and be able to build eventually like a business in real estate where you had at some point 10 different, properties. That's pretty amazing. That's why I was saying in the beginning, you need to be able to do that. But again, he didn't do that day one. He built that by learning from a lot of people and then did those deals. And I don't know. I doubt that all his deals were successful, but probably some were very successful more than others. Oh, yeah. And that's what business is all about. You mentioned Poor Dad Rich Dad from Kawasaki, and I read that as well, of course, when I was younger. Amazing book. So we will put the link, by the way, in the description for people who would like to order it. You can. We make it easy for you. So you just come below, you click, and then you will be able to order it on Amazon. The book that I want to portray, because I read a lot of book when I was younger, in order to learn about entrepreneurship and what to do, was something different. It was a book from Napoleon Hill.
Oh.
The one I talk about.
Yeah. Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah, exactly. So some people may think, Think and Grow Rich is like all about money, but actually it's not.
Yeah.
Think and Grow Rich, when you read, is actually the steps to actually increase your chance to get there, and all the sacrifice that will be needed, all the steps that will be needed. I still have this book in French, and I have this book in English now, and it's the one in French is all wrinkled. You can see that I read this more than once, and that's the book that I always reference when someone said, if I can read one book, so mindset is my degree, and it's definitely Think and Grow Rich. So those two are the one that I think will make it. More seriously, that was really a game changer for me when I was doing network marketing. I did network marketing a lot longer than you did. I did that for almost 8 to 10 years, but it led me to public speaking. So thanks to that, and again, the story is really like I was very. I was never shy, but I was very shy in front of an audience to speak in public. Public speaking is, by the way, the number one fear of human being. Number one, just before death. It's number one is public speaking. And I was one of those who, was at the back of the room and then looking down when someone asked a question, and I'm like, not me. I'm always that kind of guy, I didn't want to speak in front of people, even if I can sit and everybody turn and look at me. It was like I froze, but that business allowed me to get out of my shell and actually dare to do it, thanks to my mentor pushing me. Happy to go deeper in that in another episode. But long story short, it helped me understand so many things that I didn't understand before that. So that's very important. But then, I can talk about my experience here in the US. I failed a couple of times with the first two ideas that I had. I actually failed at them. And I'm not afraid to say that because you will rarely see an entrepreneur that will tell you, oh, I had an idea, I did it, and I just became
Oh,
a millionaire. You usually fail a couple of times, but I learned along the way. In US, I need to learn the differences, like of way to work compared to Europe. And that's actually one of the reasons why I failed. The second was, it was also network marketing that I tried to start again here because I was very good at it back in Europe. But here I didn't make the same impact that I had in Europe. So I moved on. And I started Fulfilled by Amazon, so FBA. It was big back in the days, like 8-9 years ago. And so I started doing that. I actually had 2 products who came live on Amazon and who did pretty good. But then after that, I had returns, I had all those issues, and Amazon takes a bunch of your profit. So I ended up struggling more than anything. I could have continued, but I didn't feel it was something sustainable. So I stopped. Then I started another one, I wanted to do like an online business where I can sell like a golf cart, lithium batteries, and everything like that. So the golf cart was a big mistake. Why? Because you need a lot of space in warehouse. You need a lot of things like that. So I was working directly with B2B, but it was very, very challenging to make that happen. So I ended up selling what I had and that's it. So I didn't take a loss, but I didn't make a ton of win. Now, when it comes to the lithium battery, I still do it when I have requests, and I still send from time to time. I send some of them, but it's not a business that it's scalable for me anymore. So I started a travel agency 3 years ago almost, and that's a huge success. You see? And then I started a couple of other things who are very successful and are leaning toward there more and more as well. So again, I learn. Some win, some fail. Some will be successful, some will not. So be it. Next, that's my mindset. And so that's very short story about my experience as an entrepreneur. So in Dodge, I'm very successful with MLM, and I have 3,200 people in my teams in 7 countries. So that's what I call a success. All I was doing the first 4 years were very challenging because it's a lot of work. And it's like every business as an entrepreneur, you need to put the hours in with very little return to eventually put very little amount of hours to make a lot more profit. And that was literally my experience. The first 4 years of grinding, I was doing all those in-home presentations, left and right. I'm driving there the day after 50 miles there, 60 miles in the opposite direction. And I was helping my teams. Then you start, going up the rates, and then you have all those people in your organization who are actually doing those things. You don't do it anymore. You just show up on the weekend, be the keynote speaker or the main speaker on stage. And that's where I get the passion of speaking, because I can make impact. People come to me after and ask all those kind of questions. I close them, I help them close from their rep who comes in, with the guest. And I was enjoying. I felt like what I was doing mattered. Right. And I saw people really changing their life. But again, in the book, you have some stories about people that have been impacted by that. So that's what I love. And then money comes. Money comes after when you make a difference, when you impact the world, money comes a different level, but money comes. So that's what I want to share here. It's more the fact that you will not win everywhere, but you will always learn. And take those learning and build it. Maybe you have an amazing idea that you will start, you will be 2,000% behind. And then you start, and then you made some mistake, and you realize that you have actually quality somewhere else. And then you will end up in an industry selling service or product that you didn't even think 1 second, 2 months, 2 years before. Right. And that's literally the beauty of entrepreneurship. You never know where the path will lead you, but it will lead you somewhere.
Oh, 100%.
And that's really what I want to say. So I will let you continue about the second part, because the second part of your journey after doing real estate is pretty fascinating as well.
Oh, thank you. No, but what I love about yours, you explained it extremely well. If I were just to put it into one sentence, failure is not fatal. Like no one's got 100% success rate on anything, but it's how do you persevere? How do you learn and grow and move on it? So I love that. And yeah, for me, I started, as I mentioned, in multi-level marketing with Primerica. made a little buy term, invested different type deals, and then it kind of fizzled out. And then I was in the granddaddy of all MLMs. I did Amway.
Oh, Amway. Here we go. That's the main one.
And here's the thing, I know Amway, to many people, have a stigma. And yes, I was one of those with my sponsor, mentor, whatever you want to call them, at 7 a.m. knocking on people's door trying to get them to buy soap, laundry soap. I was, because that's to follow the plan. Follow the plan. I still, about every 3-4 years or so, I still have the cassettes. And I bought on Amazon a little cassette player because once I had the garbage right throughout over them. And I will listen to some of those tapes. Like, say what you want about Amway, but if you want like NOS fuel for your mindset, go find some of those former Amway speakers, including the founder, Rich DeVos, whose family owns the Orlando Magic. Powerful stuff. So I still pull those out every now and again. And I still have the book on do the plan. A lot of merit in that stuff. But those, I didn't really build a huge following. I had some folks and didn't make much. So then I was like, okay, so I would go back to the corporate life. But along that, I was building my real estate portfolio. And then I decided to get into the mortgage business. And I first started at a bank, assistant branch manager and doing the bank. And then I got recruited to join a lender. And then I moved to, and then when I was in Vegas, I started getting into the broker side of things. And that's what eventually led me to start. So the way I started my own mortgage brokerage actually came out of the last time I really truly burned a bridge and did not end a professional relationship in the best way. So I can't remember how long ago it was, but I talked a little bit about it in one of our Monday Mindsets, where I got in an argument with the VP of this one division, and we had words, and that was it. And then I quit. I was like, that's it, I'm gone. And boom, I'm going to start my mortgage business. And fortunately, I had a good network in Vegas. And so I was getting a lot of referral business. And I actually was doing extremely well. And then I got the idea of, I'm going to retire in the next 5 years. And now I'm at 25. So I'm going to do big swings. And I I invested in the software to do dial outs to get mortgage applications. And I'd have somebody talk to this guy. I was rotating through some people. The guy who stood with me the longest, this will tell you everything you need to know about how this went. His full-time gig was, he was a centurion at Caesars. So he would dress up in those little Rome fighter outfits, and he was in good shape. So he was never lonely, but he wanted to make money on the side because you only can make so much as a centurion at Caesars. And he would man, so to speak, the software. And then if somebody actually started to, I want to talk to somebody, he would pick it up and do it. But, most of the time, this guy, and the Lord knows what he was doing, he wasn't really working. So that was money down the drain. And, but it actually grew to a place where I had 12 loan officers. I had 3 processors on the payroll. And it was a lot of fun. And then 2008 happened. And boom. And luckily for me, just before that happened, I just got tired of the business. Excuse me. I felt like it was becoming a commodity. And I had somebody approach me who wanted to take it over and buy it. And I did. And I didn't make a killing on it, but it was done. And I walked away making more money, certainly, than what I spent on it, which was great. But it's funny because you're talking about the Amazon affiliate marketing. So then I'm like, okay, now what I'm going to do when I grow up? I have my real estate, and that's good, but it's not going to give me the lifestyle just yet, but it's building wealth and assets and stuff like that. and don't have the business. So I'm like, now what? So I found a site where they were selling products you could bid on at a warehouse. And Vegas had one of the warehouses. It was Vegas, Texas. I can't remember the other place. And I would bid on stuff. And then if I won the bid, I could go pick it up. Well, I won a bid on 50 hedge trimmers, like the Black& Decker hedge trimmers. And I could sell them for something like a $25 profit. But I had my garage filled with 50 boxes of hedge trimmers, and then we'd slap on labels and just ship them off without having to wrap them and stuff. And I actually made a little bit, but I'm not feeding family, off selling these little hedge trimmers, little iPod cases. Remember iPods back in the day? I got gel cases. They got 4,000 gel cases for like $50. And some guy was like, "Hey, I'll give you $400 for the whole buy." I'm like, "Sure." Like, yeah, I don't have to worry about selling all of them. But so I did that for a while, like the affiliate marketing and stuff. But yeah, it's all good. But the point is, and going back to like your story, which I find inspirational, and certainly my experience as well, is failure is not fatal. You learn different things. I started an SEO business. I was like, oh, I'll do search engine marketing and advertising online with Google for people. And I remember I got somebody who literally paid 6 cents for this keyword search that ended up getting them $60,000 in a sale. A 6 cent keyword search doing long tail. Of course, I didn't get a commission off that because he paid me for the services, but I was like, oh, that's cool. It's fun.
Like in effect,
Came to Florida. I don't think I ever told you this story. So I came to Florida after the housing market had crashed. We decided, hey, let's start over. Let's go somewhere else and stay in warm weather. And but I couldn't get a job. And I was like, oh, what am I going to do? And I saw a thing about a guy who was looking for somebody to partner with him doing water distribution. What I mean by water distribution, I would go to different little small businesses, and how they got the little coolers, and let us put our coolers in, or let us put our little coffee machines in. And I did that for 3-4 months while I was trying to continue to interview and land something. So, and it made money. And I was actually, I know you know the story, but we don't have time for me to share it. That's where I had my first Cuban coffee experience. You remember when I was
oh yeah, you mentioned that.
And it was from that. I was walking around Miami trying to get people to sign up for water with this company. But the point of the matter is, at the end of the day, the only thing that's going to hold you back is your own mindset and your own self-limiting beliefs. It doesn't matter ultimately how successful it is if you continue to go forward, apply the principles, learn and grow, test different things. And to your point you made earlier, maybe it's not that particular business that's going to be the success, but the things you learn from it is going to fuel your success in another area. And so, I've had more wins than failures, but those failures didn't feel good at the time, but you focus on what you learn and you move on.
Absolutely. I think it's a good way to close it. Again, we can talk about everything like this like forever. We are on time, but it was very good, I think, to hear different stories last week with Eric, and then the week before, and now with Ors. And please don't hesitate to comment and share yours. And happy to have you on if you have a strong story that you want to share with the world. We're always open for guests to come and share their stories, entrepreneurship stories. So just give us an email, send us an email, or give us a comment, and we can go from there.
Yeah, and just like we said 2 weeks ago, you are the reflection of the 5 people you hang around with most. If you really are looking to try to expand your opportunities and venture into entrepreneurship for all the benefits that it offers, talk to entrepreneurs, or come on 2 for the Win and tell your story, and you'll have people reach out. So thank you, my friend, for you sharing your story and everything. Winners, that'll do it for this week. Please be sure to tune in next week's Monday Mindset. We got a really cool episode planned for you there. In the meantime, please be sure to subscribe, share, and follow so you're aware of when we do drop new episodes. And thanks again to Amazon bestselling author Nick Menard and his book, Mindset is My Degree, for sponsoring today's episode. With that, winners, we bid you adieu. Be well.
Bye, winners.